It's Tuesday, motherfuckers. Welcome to the You Already Know podcast featuring my man Eddie Beats, April 28th,
You're what
episode
up?
number 3.
3.
What's going on, my man Eddie? Everything all right with you today?
Yo, another day in the house, Nothing much
No-
is going on.
Another day walking around the living room, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Getting your cardio in.
Yeah, what's good with you?
Uh, Same thing, man. Kind of, because I took my daughters out. They've been locked up for about like a month and a half. So I took them out for a little walk around the block. They were so excited. It's like they've never been outside in their lives.
Yo, there was a lot of people outside today.
My man,
Too many. Too
my
many.
man. It's funny that you say that. I went out with Leslie. We all went out, and I'm like, wow. There's a like I haven't seen these many people out at the same
Yeah,
time in over like a month and a half, dude. It's kind of scary, man. That weather breaks and people are like, we're going out.
that's what I'm saying. Imagine when it hits over 70. People are like, it's going to be too much, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's going to be too much.
It's gonna be crazy. You gotta get that little bubble ball, walk around with a bubble, man, because people don't give a fuck if they're told to stay home. Like you said, once that temperature hits over 70, we're gonna turn to Florida. All right, we'll be
Yeah.
back in FanDuel putting in some wagers, trying to stay 6 feet away from each other.
I'm waiting for that day, bro.
You know. So today we have it'll be here soon, but today we'll have Julissa on with us. We'll be
Sure.
discussing her experience out on the front lines, working with dealing with the coronavirus. She works at a hospital, and she was working with several COVID-19 patients. So that'll be interesting. And she'll be joining us here shortly on the podcast, and she'll stick around and talk some shit with us.
Yeah, I'm excited for this conversation, man. Because she's gonna tell us stuff that they're not telling us. I have a feeling.
They're not telling us like
You know what I
Pence
mean?
and Trump or the media outlets, you know?
Hello?
Just want to make sure you can hear us.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All right, guys. We have Julissa. Welcome to the You Already Know podcast. And Julissa is gonna let us know a little bit about what's going on in hospitals, as she is a frontline worker. Julissa, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you. I am doing lovely. Thank you for having me in your podcast.
No problem. So just to go over exactly what your position is in the hospital.
So I normally work for same day surgery as a chart coordinator, which is pretty much me prepping the patient's charts for their surgeries, like different types of surgeries, emergency surgeries or selective surgeries. But that was all shut down due to the COVID stuff. So they shut same day surgery completely off, canceled all surgeries, and due to the overflow of the COVID cases, they opened up same day surgery and put all the COVID patients in there. So with my medical background, because I am a medical assistant, they pulled me to help because, there's short staff. People are working like crazy hours. So that's what I was doing. Because normally I don't deal with patients. Normally I just deal with doctor's office and I look over their test results, their blood work to make sure everything is good for them to go to surgery. I don't deal with the patients themselves.
Wait. So this is your first interaction with patients then?
In the hospital setting, yes, because my background as a medical assistant, as a surgical coordinator, I just do plain simple medical assistant stuff. No type of
Let's not say
bedside.
plain simple. Let's not say plain simple. It's whatever you're doing. It's some great work.
Medical assistant is different than bedside assistant.
Sure, of course, sure.
So, like I said, because of my background and the places that I work, they pulled me so that I can help the nurses with the bedside. But obviously,
did they prep you for that?
They did not. Most of these nurses in same day surgery, So same day surgery is like a pre-op. That is the last resort where nurses go pretty much to like retire, because it's like, you know, come in, put your belongings here, and you wake up from your surgery, and how do you feel? Now you're off to going home. There's not really hands-on involvement with the nurses there. So this is all
Yeah.
different for the whole department. You know, like the nurses, they haven't had any bedside or any patient care in like years. So this is all different for everybody, especially a COVID thing that's with precautions, you know?
So they had no like prep work, like they didn't let you know what you were getting into. Like you just came in one day and they were like, oh, this is going on, so we're gonna need your help in this.
Pretty much, because
Wow.
my job was so slow, they pulled me and my coworker from our department to the COVID unit. They put her as a clerk to help out with the orders for like, you know, um like gowns, the bunny suits, the shields, pretty much that, answering the phones, making out phone calls to doctors to come in. They put her there. But like I said, with my experience, they put me on the floor, like hands on, because the nurses needed help and there wasn't enough nursing assistants to help the nurses. So
Like a
they
last
didn't,
resort type of thing where they're scrambling and trying to get everything situated.
yeah, they didn't prep me or anything for this, but I had background because I started like the nursing program. I knew how to wear the PPE. I knew how to take my PPE. I knew how to take my PPE stuff. My personal background and my personal knowledge came to use because I knew how to take all the PPE stuff. I knew how to wear all the PPE, and I knew what I was kind of getting myself into, because prior to this, like 5 years ago, I used to work in the emergency room as a patient representative, which takes like the, you know, when you come into the emergency room, they say, "Hi, what's your name? Your date of birth? Why are you here? What type of insurance do you have?" If you're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
admitted to the floor, I was one of those people. So, me being that in the emergency room, how crazy, 5 years ago when this whole Ebola thing started, I had to go into a room with a patient and get all their demographics. So, between that and the medical assistant and initiating the nursing program, that kind of helped me, you know, do all of this. But I don't think the
Wow.
nurses really knew what they were getting themselves into either, you know? Sometimes people walk into the room,
Amazing.
they're about to open the door and they don't have their face shield. They're like, "Oh my god," like, you know, because it's just so much stuff that you have to wear. Besides your uniform, you have to wear a complete bunny suit, which is the white suits that you guys see. Then you have to wear those blue plastic gowns. Then you have to wear 2 layers of gloves, plus the N95, plus a surgical mask over it, plus goggles and your face shield and a hairnet. So,
You're
you
at
know,
war. You're at
yeah,
war. That's
pretty much all you're missing is your oxygen tank to walk around in that planet, because
wow.
that's all you needed. Because really, with all that stuff, you really can't breathe. That's why you see like the pictures on the internet and on social media, how the nurses and doctors take off and they're literally marked. That's literally how you come out, because
Wow.
it's just so much stuff that you got on in those bunny suits. That whole 2 weeks of me working there, I think I must have lost like 5, 10 pounds, because you're literally dripping sweat between going
Can
from room to here, room to there. And since nobody can go in and out the rooms like that, like the nursing assistants and the nurses are the only ones that are taking, changing the patients, changing the sheets, bringing their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, cleaning their little potty things that they have, because they have no personal bathroom. They just have a seat that they do all their belongings in. And then
really?
we got to take, yeah, and then we got to take it out and we got to put it back in. So it's like literally only 2 people are like in and out that room, which is the nurses and the nursing assistants, which is myself included, and the other staffing. But it's it's real and it's scary, because when you're there in the actual floor, you're just looking at all the rooms, which are all negative pressure, and they're all like slide-in doors that lock. They literally look like inmates, just a bigger cell. It's not a basic inmate cell that's like a, one of those small thingies that have their toilets and everything. No, it's like bigger than a cell, but they literally all look like inmates.
When you say negative pressure, how exactly does that work?
So my understanding, I didn't get much information about that, but they have to be, I guess, negative pressure rooms so that the virus or something doesn't, I guess, come out of that room. I have no idea how the negative pressure room works.
Wow.
But I just know that they were all negative pressure rooms. In same day surgery. I don't know how they were in every other floor because every other floor is a regular floor, It's a regular room.
How many floors did they have for COVID-19?
My understanding, all the floors were COVID except for like the maternity floor. Last I knew.
So
I didn't really follow up on the floors.
So were patients that weren't infected with the COVID-19 mixed with them?
There were some patients that were in same day that were positive, were negative, or rule outs. Either way, you still wear the same gear.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, was anybody, like, was a patient there that wasn't there because they thought they had COVID-19 that was on the same floor as somebody who you guys knew had COVID-19? Wow.
Yeah, like I said, the rooms, they were all like slide-in doors. But like I said, some of the patients were positive, some of them were negative, and some of them were rule outs. Some of them just had simple like pneumonia. Like there was this one lady that had she was like 90 something years old, and she didn't have the COVID. She just had like a really bad pneumonia, but she was getting better. But she couldn't go back to the nursing home because more people are dying in the nursing home than in the hospitals, So she was
When you say that she didn't have the COVID, how long did it take you guys to know that she didn't have the COVID-19?
Well, I didn't do the testing. They were tested prior to coming into our department.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, this was an overflow. Like we got the people that didn't have any more rooms. There was an extension to the ER. Yeah.
Wow.
Become like the National Guard in about 2 seconds almost.
Do you know if that lady ended up getting COVID-19?
Last time I was there, no, she still didn't have it. She just had a really bad cough, like, because she was an older lady. She was like 90 years old. She was barely like, cautious. Probably had like Alzheimer's or dementia. So she didn't really have it. Or we didn't think that she had it because she got tested. But we still wore all of our gear.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, it's crazy because before I was one of those people that, it's all right. Like, we're going to survive this because I didn't have the actual patient interaction. But then once they threw me in there, it's like, damn, I don't, it's a different mindset that you're in. It's like now I got to come home, leave my shoes in the hallway, take my clothes off in the hallway, everything off in the hallway, and jump straight into the shower. Like I couldn't even I have kids, so I couldn't even touch my kids or nothing because you never know, So your whole life after being in that whole scene is different. And I normally, when this whole coronavirus started, I was still having, some people over just with precautions, like, you're not sick or nothing, right? Okay, you could come through. But then after that, and me exposing myself, I was already exposing my kids as it is. So I didn't want to have anybody over because I didn't want to have that in my conscience, like, oh, man, if you ever get sick, I hope it wasn't because of me because I work with these patients. Like, I'm actually in the room with them, But I let everybody know, look, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm already exposing my kids as it is. So right now I'm kind of I'm really social distancing myself from everybody.
So let me ask you, right? So from all the patients that had the COVID-19 that you saw, besides the trouble breathing, the fever, was there something else they had that the media is not telling us about?
No, some people showed more weakness, like their body, like fatigue, than others. Others look perfectly fine. Some of them came in there like, obviously with this whole coronavirus, they were paranoid. They're like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Like, my head hurts. I'm blowing up in fever. Like, can you call my nurse? Can you call my nurse? But, you know, the whole world is going through this and nobody knows the cure to it. So all they pretty much can do is just try to give you Tylenol, give you oxygen, and try to calm you down. Because if you get anxious, you worsen your breathing. You know, you feel like you can't breathe because you're anxious.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
all I can do and all the nurses have been doing is we just tell, we understand, but you have to also understand like the whole world is going through this pandemic. It's not just you. We're all trying to figure this out together. So you need to calm down, relax, breathe, and I'm gonna call your nurse. you know?
You also become the therapist, just like that.
Yeah, because some people, and it's crazy because some people, I don't know if it's because they're just in the hospital for weeks, but they're just, some people are really dirty, and then you wonder why you caught this coronavirus. Like, how are you living? Because there's patients that literally grab a tissue and just throw it on the floor. You have a bag right next to you, but I'm the one I would have to clean up because who wants to walk into a room with a whole bunch of tissues and spit and stuff on the floor? Like, you have all that
Wow.
hands next to you, and we got to go in there to clean this up because we can't function like that,
Julissa, if you haven't heard it enough, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I try,
Okay?
I try.
Because it's scary times we're living in, man. And,
It is
shit.
scary.
Right now, we need to definitely support the people that are front lines because they're holding the world together right now. So it's definitely a scary, scary time. So thank you. I don't think you can hear it enough ever until the end of time.
Yeah, it is scary for everybody. Like, I can't even imagine like how if me myself, I was a bit terrified, like especially with some patients and you see like the news how people know that they have it and then they go cough or spit at other people. Like, it doesn't matter the gear that I have because the face shield only covers a certain angles, like there's evil people out there. So
let me ask you, did you have trouble having enough tests at the hospital to test people?
I'm not sure about that, but equipment wise, like PPE gear, most definitely a
You
shortage.
had
Like,
enough. That was one of my questions.
you
So
can
you had
only
enough
have.
PPE.
No, we didn't.
You didn't.
That's what I said. Yeah, I
Okay,
don't
so
know
you
about the
didn't.
testing, but our gear itself, we were short because there was a point where we were short on N95s that we had after we were done using our N95s. Because remember, everything that is in that department, you can't take out of that department. So even if you want to go to the bathroom, you got to take all that stuff off. And when you go home or to your locker room, you got to take all that stuff off and leave it in that department. But with your N95, usually you throw it out, But since they were so low on masks and face shields and bunny suits and even the blue shields, like we would have to like this leave them in a bag so that I guess the people, I don't know what they were called, but they would come pick it up to like disinfect it so that you can reuse your mask.
Wow.
So yeah, like I feel like the hospitals.
Well, when you say reuse your mask, is that a mask? Like, do you give it to somebody? They
No,
go,
no, it's yours because you have to put your name, your
Okay.
ID.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still yours, but I feel like if you disinfect the mask, like how well can you disinfect the mask? Like, especially on the
What do you
inside.
mean? Wait, what do you mean?
The inside, you remember, it's like fabric. Like,
Yeah.
at least with me, when I got my mask against your reuse after it was like disinfected so that I can reuse it again. When I got mine, I felt like the inside part was kind of like kind of like opening, like in a way, if that makes any sense, because I
Yeah.
felt like it was getting my nose like itchy, and I would keep like, wiggling my nose, and to the point where I
You got to
couldn't
make
take it anymore.
sure it's like airtight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got to
So
breathe through that. It's outrageous.
I couldn't take it anymore, and I went to like my manager, and I was like, look, I don't know, because I'm a very like sensitive person. Like any little thing, I'm like allergic to from the rip. Like
Oh,
I was washing my hands so much that I started getting hives on my hands, because
wow.
after I would take my gloves off, I would wash my hands.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just take my gloves off and use the machine out the room and use a hand sanitizer. I'd rather just wash my hands and boom, put some new gloves on. But I was doing it so much that I irritated like my skin, and like I thought I was having like allergic reaction. I went to like the nurse manager. I'm like, are these gloves like latex free, because my hands are like, you know? She was like, no, they all are, but I think it's because I was wetting my hands so much, and then I would put the gloves on, that the glove holds like a little powder substance
And
that,
irritates the whole skin.
yeah.
Melissa, have you been tested, or are you planning to get tested? What are your plans as far as testing is concerned?
I have not been tested. I don't think they just test people just because you have to have a symptom, I believe. I don't have any symptoms. I don't have no
But
fever, no.
but being that you're interacting with people who have it, wouldn't it make sense to test everybody?
If you, like I said, you have to have like symptoms. You can't just be like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, I think I have COVID." They're gonna be like, "Well, why?"
Yeah, well, you know what? Hopefully we'll get to, which I believe we're going to get to a point in the state of New
It's
Jersey.
it's it's the same thing like the flu. They ain't gonna test you for the flu just because you have to
No, no.
show symptoms.
Yeah, but just like New York is doing, right? At some point, the state of New Jersey will follow suit as well, that all the healthcare workers are going to get tested first, or whoever, worked with COVID patients. And then after that, they're going to do the police officers, right? And then they'll start filtering
I
people
think
being
police
tested
But
to everybody.
officers, I think police officers have it the worst right now, because they don't get it like a mask or things like that. Like people. I don't know if you've ever passed by Costco, but with this whole Costco control, like they're patrolling like I guess the line or the people or whatever. And my mom said that she felt bad because these officers are not wearing like masks, and people are still going up to them like asking them questions or things like that. I'm sure, I hope that the people that were asking them had masks, but I don't think they get. I think people make donations towards the department, and that's how they get the things, but I don't think they are supplied with that. I could be wrong, but like
but
I've seen.
I think this thing is different from the flu because if you have the flu, like there's people who've had COVID-19 and they had no symptoms.
But remember, there was a lot of people that were sick a couple of months ago, before this whole COVID, like February, March, before this whole COVID really broke down, and the doctors diagnosed these people with flu-like symptoms, you know, but showed the same symptoms as like the COVID, like the fever, the body aches. They showed all the same similar things as the flu, but they weren't sure because the flu, I guess, must have came out negative or something. But they still would treat it like the flu. So who really knows? Like
So, in your opinion, right? Like, how contagious do you think this is? Like, how fast can somebody catch this?
now we're talking about my medical opinion or my opinion.
From what you saw.
From what I saw, I mean, I didn't see anybody that I've worked with, the nurses or anything, actually catch the virus. Not that I heard of.
That's great.
But I
Like,
could be wrong because
do you think it's more contagious than the flu?
I mean, I don't know, because the whole world is scared. So now everybody is wearing
It's a
masks and
big
wearing gloves.
mental. It's a mental war It's a mental war. We're at a mental war. We're a health war. We're like several wars packed into one, man. Because God
Yeah.
forbid you get an itchy throat, then you start thinking,
It's more of
oh
a
my God,
psychological
yes, that has a lot
thing
to do with it.
too. You
Yes,
know, because everybody now, like, you know, I had a friend that was sneezing, and she looked a little bit sick, and I was like, well, co-
allergies.
corona or allergies? She's like, no, no, it's allergies, I swear. But at the end of the day, nobody really knows. But you're already just, your mind is just already paranoid. Like, so many people are going through this that the first thing you think about when somebody sneezes is, oh, you know, the corona.
Yeah, yeah. It's like commercials. You see, you can tell when a commercial was just shot like 2 days ago versus like 3 months ago. Like the new commercials, everybody's all like social distancing, and then the old commercials, people like right next to each other. I'm watching the commercials like, oh my God,
But
this is
I
exactly
think
what I
this
want.
is good for like the whole world to like back up, because I am one of those people that hate when I'm in a line and I'm paying and the next person behind
Very
me
true.
is like up on me, like trying to get my pin. Like, damn, can I have some space? And it's always an issue. I always get into an argument when it comes to people at supermarkets or stores, because it's like, and now people are like extra precautious. Now they're like really beyond 6 feet, you know? But you wasn't
Tom,
doing that
Tom,
like 2 months ago.
Tom, you still have the
Yeah.
idiots out.
Thank God for the coronavirus, because now people will not be in my space. Yeah, thank God.
Exactly. Exactly. You cannot
It's
go
a
wrong
little
with
reset.
personal space.
I think we're gonna
Oh
look
my
back
God.
and say that the world needed this, big
The world
reset. But
definitely needed. I don't know if you noticed, but like the beaches are cleaner. Like, I just feel like the whole world just kind of needed like a break. Like,
yeah.
you guys need to calm down, stop peeing in my ocean, and let me just chill. Let me just cleanse. You know, stop spitting in
Seriously,
my lakes. Stop doing business in the lake, rivers, whatever.
yeah,
You
man,
know?
you got animals coming out of different places that they haven't been in years because all the tourists and all that shit.
Right,
So
right. Yeah, the
the
people
animals are
is
like
what's
thanking the
definitely,
Lord for the COVID, thanking the Wuhan wet market out there, you know. So
definitely.
um, I,
I don't. The only thing I don't like. The only thing I don't like about this whole Corona thing is the people that are hoarding a whole bunch of stuff. Like, the supermarkets are still open.
by the way, I'm not hoarding, okay? Now, there are people that are hoarding, okay? I'm just
Have you
me
seen? Have
personally,
you seen your kitchen is about to overflow?
we're very well prepared. I think it's very important when you have a family to be well prepared, okay? I'm just trying to minimize the number of trips I have to take to the supermarket, which it doesn't matter. It feels like you have to go every single day almost now.
That's true, but
Like
the big thing is, do you take your shoes before you enter your house?
so falling back on what you said, in the hallway has become basically like my apartment. It's basically where I get dressed, basically where I get naked at, and after that I
Uh-huh.
gotta go take a shower before I can go hug the kids. And
Right.
then it's like even when you're talking to them, you're like trying to talk to them like kind of looking this way because you don't want to spit on their face or some shit.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's a
Wait.
huge
So
mental game.
you're saying you could catch this from your shoes?
That's what they said, that it can travel with your shoes. But even on right before this whole Corona thing, I have a shoe rack inside my hallway. Ever since I worked in the ER, I had multiple doctors and physicians that I worked along with that they've always told me to. It's better and safer for you to leave things from like doctors' office or hospitals outside your home,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
before this
It makes
Corona
sense.
thing, you
So
never know.
yeah, for
Even
you
in the
for you
store.
I get. Yeah, for you I get, but I don't know. I think
But even
like
in
Makes
the
sense, though. It makes
supermarkets.
sense. It makes sense. It does make sense, man. I listen. When I come in, after from coming outside, when I come in, I feel like I just finished getting a haircut because Leslie sprays me with alcohol, like in my face. I spray my feet, my shoes. I literally get sprayed down by alcohol and walk into the apartment. So you got to take all precautions that you can, man. Especially when you're dealing with little fuckers running around. You know what I mean? It's very important.
Yeah, the kids definitely. I feel like they have a weaker immune system.
Yeah, it's
but
real.
but if that's the case, like, so if you look at like statistics and shit, like kids barely get it.
Right. I have noticed that too. But then
Time.
you have infants that have been getting it and have been
Yes.
having a hard time trying to get through it, you know? So it's like a 50-50 thing, just like the elderly. They say that the elderly have a bigger chance of getting it because they're like as fragile as newborns, as babies. You know, when babies are born, their immune system is really low. Like, you got to build it. You got to get them used to, like, going outside, the weather, the change, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's 50-50, man. Just like getting through to unemployment, 50-50. So, you have a lady
It
that's
really is.
you have a lady that's 109 years old that beat it.
Yeah, I do have to be, like, thankful because, you know, due to this coronavirus, a lot of people haven't been working, and I'm fortunate enough to still keep working, you know? Even
At
though
any moment, did you think, all right, maybe I should just walk out, or I should quit, or I don't want to go back to work. I'm about just
I
not.
did. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie. It happened to me on my first weekend working
That's
there
a good
because
question.
I haven't worked weekends. I quit the whole working on weekends ever since I had my kids. I would do like a part-time job here and there.
I'm sorry, sorry. Not a lot of people can do that.
No. I had a part-time, but I would only do it like, you know, here and there. And it was only for like 3-4 hours. It wasn't like much, you know? But my first actual weekend working there, me trying to be like thinking about, oh man, if I do this, it's time and a half, blah, 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 blah. I did a 12-hour shift. That was the biggest mistake I did because it was my first weekend working, and it was my second day actually working with these whole COVID patients. So, and
When exactly was it? When, in March?
I'm gonna say like what 3 weeks ago, it really got like bad at the hospital for our hospital at least.
And
The
the
week of
March,
March 15th. It's the week of March 15th. I'm almost 1,000% positive on that.
Probably because this was
That's
like
when
2
shit
weeks,
started going down.
3 weeks. Last week I didn't really work much, so I'm gonna say 3-4 weeks, a month, about a month. So and the hospital already, as you know and as you hear, it's short staff everywhere. Like, they're calling nurses that are retired or like, you know, they're calling from every angle they can possibly pull people to help.
Yeah.
So we were already short staffed as it is, and it was my first time working with these patients, and it was a 12-hour shift. So it was a lot. And the people that have the day shift which are so there's 3 schedules. There's 7 to 3, 3 to 11, and 11 to 7. I did the 7 to 7, so that's the 12-hour shift. Between the 7 and 3, the 7 to 3 person, you know, the minute you clock, you're on a weekend because they normally work weekends. Once their time is up, they run out that door. Like, you know, they want no part. They're 8 hours. They're like done. You know, so they had nobody coming in after 3 o'clock. So I was in there by myself working 25 rooms by myself, and I was like very like overwhelmed because it's like I want to help everybody, but if this nurse needs this nurse needs that, it's like, you know. And that first weekend I didn't even like sit. I didn't have lunch. I barely drank water, and I came out of there with a headache. I wanted to like cry. I wanted to say, screw this place, I'm not coming back, it's not worth it. But I got through it the next day. I was supposed to do another 12-hour shift on Sunday, but I changed it and I did just 11 to 7. And, you know, my boss, she was really like understanding. She said, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's whatever time you can come in, whatever you can do to help us. So they were very like appreciative of that, just me coming in general, you know. So they took whatever I gave them. But
let me ask you a question, right? Like, from this whole time, right? Is there a situation or something that happened that stands out of everything you've gone through this whole time?
What do you mean? If like anything in particular that stands out?
Yeah, like something that was like so crazy, or something like that really like stood out from everything that's going on. in that hospital that you were like, wow, like this is crazy?
Well, everything changed in hospitals. I feel like even like the cafeteria changed. Like the regular cafeterias in hospitals at lunchtime, it's always crowded, you know. And then they have a big seating like section.
It's like an elementary school lunch.
Yeah.
Style.
So that whole thing changed completely. Like now, you know, the food was very like opened. Like they had salad bars. They had food that was frying on the grill, and they would just put it out there so that people can just take and go, you know. That whole thing changed. Everything now is like wrapped, sealed,
And
um,
delivered.
and like they only allow certain people in the cafeteria section, you know. Now the people in the cafeteria, like the registers, they have like the shield that you see like in the people that have like the regular cashiers in regular stores. They have them. The seating arrangement is completely closed. They only have maybe like 20 something seats available, and they're all like, I'm guessing 6 feet apart. But like you just walk by and you just see like people sitting in rows. They literally look like it was like a classroom because they're sitting on a desk, like a little chair with a little, like in a school, having their lunch like 6 feet apart. Like you're not even sitting there talking to your friends. You're just there to eat and go.
Get the hell
So
out.
so that whole scene was different. Um,
As far as like patients, um, like I don't know. Did you see anybody pass away from this? Like,
well,
how
yeah, I
serious
did.
is this?
There was a couple people that got like intubated, and that's because they can't breathe at all. Like their oxygen level is like really low. It goes below like 80. So the normal oxygen range, anything above 90 is okay. 92 and higher is even better, you know, but they can work with like 90 and up. Below that, it's like, all right, we got to call these people to like intubate this patient because this patient's oxygen level is like below 80, you know? They have
When
like a
you say
bag.
incubate somebody, right? The process of that is like basically
Intubate.
seduce. You gotta. Okay, so you have to, put them to sleep, no? And put like a
I've
tube in their
always
mouth.
seen from afar. I could have gone
Yeah,
to the
that's what I
rooms,
heard.
but that's just too much. All I see is people. They're So whatever I wear, these people were wearing plus like a big old, exactly looking like an astronaut helmet, like hat, whatever, you know, with like
Wow.
things on the back, like big old gloves and suits. Like it was scary. They looked like they was going to like open up a science experiment.
Did you guys have any issues with the ventilators? Like, you guys had enough?
I'm not sure about that. Like I said, we were just an expansion to the ER. On the floors, it probably would have been, if I was actually on the floor, it would have been probably different for me to answer that, but I can't
So,
answer that from
so
the ER.
you weren't on the main floor of the COVID-19. You were on
No,
like
we were
everybody
in.
who didn't fit on that floor
Yeah,
came to your floor.
yeah,
Did your
which was,
floor get full?
yeah, it did. Like I said, it was 25 rooms.
Yeah,
So
that'll go in 2
each floor had
seconds.
25 rooms.
I'm sorry?
Each floor had 25 rooms.
No. Each floor has, I don't know how many rooms. It could probably go up to 30 or 50. I have no idea how each floor is because each floor is just so big. Like you just
Yeah.
go in a maze to maze to maze. So in one section on the floor, you could be in the cardiac cath, and the next you're in the freaking like, I don't even know. You know, you're in a different section. So I have no idea how many rooms are on the floors. But from the
So
same day surgery department, I can speak that there was those 25 rooms.
with 2 people in each room, right?
No, these are just one people in each room. They can't share a room.
Did you have people that were just like in the hallway
No.
because there were no rooms available?
This
No.
is not St. Michael's. This is not St. Michael's.
No.
Yeah,
They
I saw
do
a video
that.
of that.
They do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
in the emergency room. But due to this coronavirus, they can no longer do that because not only are you exposing the people outside of the rooms, but you're exposing anybody that walks through that hallway. So they cut that all out. That's why we expanded the ER to making the tents. You know how hospitals have the tents? They did that for that reason, and they opened up departments that aren't normally for that, but they opened that also so that there won't be any more hallway people because you're exposing everybody. Because remember, the nurses work in the hallway. So if they come out of room to the hallway, they still can't take their stuff off because the hall will be packed. Normally, every other hospital does have patients in the hallways.
From being that you've seen what this virus does firsthand, how like dangerous is this virus? Like, do you think, like, because the media makes it seem like this is something like super serious, like it caused a shutdown, so, like, you know, like all that stuff. Like, do you feel like everything that's been going on, like it aligns with how bad this virus is?
See, I do and I don't, because I've seen people that, like I said, have come in really bad, and then throughout the 2 weeks, 3 weeks that they've been there, they've gotten 100%, you know? But then there's the older patients that have, like I said, I've seen gotten intubated because they're fragile, you know? They have a more difficult time breathing, you know? They're more fatigued than the normal, because some of the symptoms that I've seen, the people come here and they're like, you know, thrown on their bed, like feeling weak, like, oh, I can't move, you know? But then you see them through the progress, and then, within the next 2 weeks, they were like actually sitting, actually like moving, you know?
Everybody's body is different, man. And
everybody's body is different. I do believe that, but I also believe that people's dramatic has a big thing to do with it too.
Yeah,
because I feel like I seen a lady that every time I came into that room, she would just slouch and just throw herself and give me a difficult time just trying to get her blood pressure.
Yeah, she was trying to get the unemployment certified, baby. What you mean?
I was like, ma'am, I need you to like move your arm. She wouldn't even like move her arm. I would have to hold her big arm just to get a cuff under there, you know? So I feel like some people overdo it, but then
if you had to put a percentage on how deadly this virus is, what percent would it be?
Percent, man. I mean, out of the whole 25 rooms, I can say that I know 2 people have passed from those 25. So to give it a percent, I don't know. It's hard to give it from just my 25 experience, you know, when people have a whole floor.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about like,
you know, and I do know people like family and some friends that were diagnosed with it and they're fine. Some of them only showed a symptom for like a day. You know, they just self-quarantine, and that's it.
Do you let me ask you a question, right? Because I I really think I had it at one point. So I'm gonna break down the symptoms I had, and you tell me if you think I had it or not. Okay. All right. So the biggest thing I noticed, I lost my sense of taste and smell.
Okay, that's definitely a sign.
I had a headache.
That's also a sign.
And then I was very tired. Like I stayed in bed for a couple days. And then honestly, that was pretty much it. I didn't have a fever. Oh, and then at some point during the day.
Quick question: how did you know you didn't have a fever?
I was checking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was checking. I had a fever. I was checking.
What type of thermometer did you have?
The regular one you put in your mouth.
No, regular one. These guys. Oh
wait, I gotta.
Wait,
so I gotta stick it up my ass. No,
you gotta have the ear one, my guy, or the one that goes
ear
right through the
or the temple one. Because
This
the
was
ones
brand new.
with the
This
ones with the
this
mouth.
wasn't an old one.
It wasn't underneath your tongue, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it was underneath the tongue. It wasn't an old one, but it was a
That's the
different.
old
Like
one to me.
bought it recently. I bought it recently.
I would definitely next time, even like if you ever find one now, I would definitely go for the ear one or the temple one. The mouth one, I mean, I could feel like it could always change. Like you
It's
could
more
drink,
accurate.
you can drink something hot and then you might have like a slight fever. You could drink something cold and then you're not gonna get an accurate reading because you're checking through your mouth.
I was waking up in the morning and taking my temperature first thing as soon as I woke up.
Oh, okay.
Well, shit, a little bit of hot breath mix in there, you're gonna get a temperature, bro. Right? That's natural, right? Everybody got
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Natural.
If anything was
That's a natural morning.
No, because I'm not even gonna lie, with the old, like, you know, the underneath the tongue ones, when I was a kid, I feel like I used to manipulate that one because I feel like I used to kind of like hot breath my own like thermometer and it would get like a little high just so I wouldn't go to school. So that's why I always get the ear, like, I guess because I'm a mom too, but I always do the ear one because it's I feel like it's closer to like your head and stuff. I don't know.
Julissa, it's definitely being a parent thing. We have the thermometer for the ear. We pay like $60 for it.
Yeah, those
I
are
have, like,
expensive.
3 of those. Yeah.
There's nothing you could do from changing your shit from 98.7 to 101.
Oh well, yeah. Well, you're getting better accurate reading.
Unless you're putting it on a fucking light bulb.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
What?
How much did you pay for it?
I don't fucking remember.
So you get what you paid for, my man. You know.
But you can also, you know, when you sleep, you can also have a fever. You could just sweat it out and not know that you had a fever.
God forbid, yeah.
I wasn't sweating. This is what I'm saying. I didn't have a fucking fever. But I had all
You had
those
every other, yeah. I mean, I most definitely think you definitely had it, especially if you were sleeping like that, you know, because you were fatigued, you were tired, you were weak. But now my question to you, how did you make yourself feel better?
I stayed in bed.
Got some rest.
You didn't take anything. You didn't drink anything.
I drank a lot of water. I always take vitamins, so I just continue taking my vitamins. Yeah, like when I don't feel like that good, I don't take like medicines and stuff like that. Like I need to feel like really, 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 really bad. And then on top of that, so I call my mother and she's like, "Oh, it sounds like you just have sinuses." I'm like, I never have fucking sinuses. She's like,
But
"Yeah, but
it's also been allergy season. Yeah, because remember, sinus affects you here and here, and you can't breathe. So if you can't breathe, everything is.
But how do you go from not having any allergies to going from something that extreme, and then on top of that, all that stuff disappeared?
Yeah, like I said, I know family members that had it for a day or two, and then after that they were fine. So they only showed symptoms for a day or two. So it sounds like you definitely did.
Thank God this is a virtual call. Thank the Lord.
But you rocked out. You drank a lot of water, and I've noticed that a lot of patients and a lot of nurses, like I don't know if just because they're thirsty or I don't know, but I have noticed that the patients, like whenever I would go into the rooms and change their stuff and ask them if they needed anything, they would always say to bring them ice water. And I never really like paid attention to it, but now that you say you were drinking a lot of water and you were like tired, maybe like dehydrated, that could be a symptom, you know?
Too. Yeah, it had to be water too. Like I want
dehydrated 100%.
Yeah, they would always say ice water, and I would give them like a lot of ice. And once they were done, they would just keep asking for like ice. So now you said that kind of like, oh wow, I wonder if that may be another symptom, but people aren't really like paying attention to that because it's just water that you're feeding for, you know, cold ice water.
Ice water is like a double shot at the bar, like. It's a double shot. Let me get a double shot. Let me get water and then ice that's gonna melt and become water. Double shot that bitch. But Eddie, I'm happy that fast forward to how many days it's been that you're here and you're well and you're alive, my man. So that's great.
Yeah, like that was like
because don't you suffer from like asthma or something? No, never mind. I thought maybe it's a different friend.
No.
Yeah, that's scary too, man.
But the crazy thing was like I have anxiety, so like when I had trouble breathing, like my anxiety kicked in and made it worse at the same time. And I'm like, but the reason I was anxious is because it was like I can't just call my doctor up anymore because
It's all
it's not
video.
go to my doctor's office, and it's like I didn't want to go to the hospital either because if I didn't have it, people there had it, and I didn't want to get exposed to it either, right? So it's like people that like are going through like normal regular illnesses are kind of like trapped at this point.
Yeah. Or have any other sicknesses or symptoms that aren't related to the COVID. You know, it's true because just yesterday, it was Monday, right? Yeah, just yesterday, my dad had to follow up through his neurologist, and it was through video call. And it's like, how are they really gonna know how you are? Like, they can't really examine you. Like, they can't really flash the light through a video. Like, let me see your pupils. Let me see, you know. So
Yeah.
it sucks right now for everybody. You know, God forbid somebody is going through something, their doctors can't really get a hands on like they normally would.
Yeah, I think these virtual doctor calls right now is just like making sure that the people are staying alive. Like, all right, how you feeling? All right, I think you're gonna make it. Oh, all right, you need to get into the hospital right away. You know, that's what that is basically. It's just like I'm a
And I
little.
wonder if they're actually getting paid. Like, are they still charging these patients for their copay?
Yeah. So that's a good question. Yeah, no, that's a good question. Hold on a minute. That's a good question because there is a company, there's different companies, obviously, right, that you can use to contact a doctor, right, besides just your personal doctor. But I heard of a app that if you're 65 and over, it's free, and then 65 and under with insurance or no insurance, it's $20 for a video call.
Well, okay, so it's cheaper than
It is than a walk-in visit.
Right.
Let's be honest. A lot of the time, like this should open people's eyes. Like a lot of the time, you don't even need to go to a doctor. Like, why do I even have to go to a doctor's office for just to get a damn like a letter? Why can't you just like fax it to me? They make you go there for dumb shit. The majority of the times, like, hey, let me hop on. Hey, doc, these are my symptoms. What do you think I should do? Take Tylenol and stay home and save me that trip. Or like just make me come in to tell me to take Tylenol. You could have told me that. I could have been in my couch watching, freaking dog racing because we had no sports, right? And just been safe at home versus just going out and going into your office. Listen, man, this whole coronavirus is changing everybody's opinion in life in general.
Yeah, everything about what you eat, about what you do.
It's the new normal we're living in, guys.
Yeah, definitely. There is never going back. That's for sure. The world will never be what it was. We will never have that freedom that we once had. We took advantage, and now, look, we're living in a toxic chaos.
Outrageous. It's true point. Very true. Very true.
But have you guys watched like?
You already know.
I've been watching.
You gotta say that more.
I've been watching The Blacklist. Have you guys watched The Blacklist? They talk about a lot of like conspiracy, government, pandemics, and a lot of.
This is perfect segue into.
Speaking of.
A lot of viruses. Like there was this one episode that the FBI agents were trying to catch this, I guess, known fugitive or whatever. They were trying to stop him from, I guess, exposing this virus and causing a pandemic. And they pretty much came up to be or ending that the government had put this person out there to spread this viral thing. And it literally, like, it was crazy because they talked about this airborne virus, like the coronavirus. Then they talked about quarantining, which is what we're doing. Then they talked about the whole pandemic, which is also what we're going through. And they speak about how it's all government planned because the government sends or hires these people to spread these things. and then you have the good guys like the FBI agents to like take them down from causing a pandemic if they're able to be caught on time. You know? So the blacklist, like, I feel like low-key is a lot of conspiracy that a lot of people have and we're going through now.
Yeah.
Yo. Look, so this is my conspiracy theory. Like, I'm not 100% sold on it, but if it was to come out, I wouldn't be surprised, right? So before this whole pandemic happened, right, China and Donald Trump had issues over a trade deal.
Mm-hmm.
It affected the stock market heavy.
Right.
Like, heavy, right? It was just funny how all of a sudden this virus came out of China, and who got impacted the most out of it? Out of every country, the U.S. So I think this was a deliberate attack against the U.S. through biological warfare.
I disagree because you see our president, how he's just a racist individual that he had. That might be your conspiracy theory, but then you have our president that says, also probably thinks like you and says, this is the Chinese virus. So now every other individual that's Chinese is being looked at as they're bringing.
Like he was the one that was causing problems with this trade deal between China. Like he was like being the asshole out of the whole deal.
I think that he has a lot to do with this whole virus thing because a normal president wouldn't just say, oh, make this whole thing about lockdowns, possibly lockdowns and curfews and stuff like that. And then out of nowhere, weeks later, you say it's up to the governors to make that decision whether they want to reopen this state or not. Why?
Well, listen, he sure does have all the Clorox on deck. That's for sure.
Like, I don't think it was Chinese warfare or whatever it is. I just think it's just the main U.S. government.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense because look, like at the end of the day, like and like a lot of people are talking about that, like, oh, this is all conspiracy to enforce martial law and all this stuff. Like, man, there's too much money being lost for these higher powers to want to do this. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I think that it's a cause of Donald Trump being an asshole to other countries. Because look, like you can't go to war against the U.S. the regular way. Like, we'll beat you. Like, it's almost like a terrorist attack to me.
Well, it's not about.
Like,
it's not so.
Like, this is a terrorist
it's not
attack
so much about It's not so much about the U.S. beating, or other countries being like scared to like attack or whatever. Because you could really bring it back to Pearl Harbor, like. You know, like the U.S. is. I know, but I'm saying we're not untouchable.
And look what happened after
touchable.
that. Look what happened after that, though. We dropped a fucking atom bomb.
No, I know, which I get, but I'm saying, like, we can't say or sit here and think with the mindset that we're untouchable. We are touchable, because it's China
this is making everybody realize.
China or any other government or any other country wanted to attack us, they could just attack us. Or if you really want to, or if you didn't want to speak about just countries and stuff, and you really wanted to go like beyond this, like I'm talking about like religion wise, like if you really think about it, nobody has control over nothing. God ended the world one day, and then
listen, it doesn't matter who you believe in, what you believe in, how much money you have in your bank. Right.
My point. Exactly my point. Like I'm saying, biblically speaking, like the world ended because God wanted it to. So China or Donald Trump, we're all touchable. We could just not wake up tomorrow. The world will be over just because.
Listen, that is 100% true.
What does that have to do with the fact that China deliberately?
No, that had to do with what you said when you said, they can't touch us. Like, come on, we're the U.S. That's
no,
where I went with this.
I'm talking about warfare, right? Like the U.S. is a superpower that nobody's gonna declare war against because the repercussions would be too great. So and it's just like the terrorists did, like they did 9/11, because they can't just come over here and start war and start killing people because we have too big of an army, too much warfare, like prepared for stuff like that. So
well,
they have
not
to do
enough
it
masks.
that way. Exactly.
Right.
Like this is the only way you can attack us.
Well, I don't know. I believe, me personally, I believe that it came from the wet market. I'm sticking to that, okay? That I believe it's a fact that they have all these foreign animals stacked on top of each other, and then the animals on top just take shits and fucking pees, and that shit just trickles down onto the other animals, and then they're sold, and these Chinese people, bro, there's videos of people eating turtles and bats.
Yeah, I think
that are alive.
Think about it.
That
like,
shit makes sense. That's called science, by the way.
According to what I saw too, like SARS started the same way, right? Like all these viruses are coming out of China, and they're coming out of wet markets that.
They're not all coming out of China, because you got to think about Ebola.
SARS.
The Ebola was a big thing that.
Most recent.
I don't even know if it's in the records, but Ebola killed a lot of people, and it didn't start in China. That started down in,
And it's crazy. Speaking about Ebola, it's crazy how the other viruses that were going around killing a massive amounts of people didn't really freak nobody out. Like I remember vaguely hearing Ebola, but not being as precautious and as mentally drained.
No, people were scared too about, besides the Ebola, they were scared about, what was it, the mosquito thing?
Yeah, the bird flu.
West Nile? Yeah,
West Nile.
The West Nile. So people are always going to be scared about what we hear from the government or the news. Like, it could be a freaking regular dog, and we're going to have all precautions and all guards up.
But the funny thing is that all these viruses originate from animals.
The majority of them, yeah. So
I mean, I don't want to say yeah or no, because I really don't know.
So maybe it's animals declaring war against humans.
This guy.
No, in a way, if you look at it, you can say that, man. But those it's true, man. It's really true. Come on, you got these animals out there in India taking over the streets and shit because everybody's inside, bro.
That's every country. Puerto Rico has a lot of cats. I never seen so many cats out in the streets. I don't even think I ran into a street dog. I saw a whole bunch of cats.
I'm petrified of fucking cats.
When I was down there, stray dogs was the norm out there. So
I didn't see any stray dogs. I saw a whole bunch of stray cats. Like,
you must have been in the bougie part of Puerto Rico, wherever that may have been.
Yeah.
I was in San Juan.
San Juan. Listen, nowadays anything is game, man. Anything is game. Anything goes, bro. Anything goes. I'm out here at Amazon when I was doing a route. Like I said, I was in the station picking up the groceries, the bags, and I saw that. I look over to the right and I see this pack of fucking Clorox wipes with bleach, right? I looked around, I fucking grabbed that shit, put it in the car, I walked out, and I'm thinking, I'm going to that far to like
this guy's dry snitching right now.
Clorox wipes with bleach. Then I get to my car, I look at the packaging and it says used for hospitals. I'm like, oh shit! I open that shit. That shit is straight bleach, bro. That shit works miracles. It's basically bleach and a wipey. That's the killer shit right there.
Yeah, I use those to wipe down my uniform because you gotta reuse your bunny suit. That is straight bleach. That's like showering in bleach.
Yo, that shit is you gotta wear a mask. You gotta wear gloves to fucking clean with that shit because that shit gets underneath your nails, and then with the mask. That's all you're breathing in like Clorox.
Yo, who's fucking with? I really think I almost poisoned myself because I was fucking wiping down beer bottles that I bought with the fucking Lysol. Yo, and then like I started drinking and like I fucking started getting dizzy as fuck. Like I started getting chest pains and shit. I'm like, why the fuck am I feeling like this? And then I realized like I was wiping the shit down. I'm like, oh my god.
Why didn't you just pour it in a cup?
What?
Why didn't you just pour the beer in a cup?
Because I never do that.
But what's the point of wiping it down?
Listen, you gotta change your habits, my man. Change your habits.
What's the point? What's the point of buying bottles instead of cans if you're gonna just drink it out of a cup?
Because we're going through a virus.
Yeah, we gotta stay alive, my man. We gotta do whatever we gotta do to stay alive.
People are even soaking their fruits and vegetables. Well, people did that on a regular, but now they're doing it extra to clean their fruits and vegetables that are out in the open. You know what I mean? So
that's fucking stupid, though. That's stupid, though. But I was
it's
wiping.
It's not stupid because you gotta wash these fruits are all open, and before
this
whole virus thing, people will be able to go into this. Wait, what?
You just rinse the vegetables in water, and it'll get. So from what I heard, because I did research on this, because at one point I was ordering a lot of takeout. So I'm like, can I get the virus from ordering takeout all the fucking time? And a doctor said that there's no known cases of you ingesting.
No proof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes perfect sense because they're cooking the food, so it's hot. It's
but that's only with hot foods. How about cold foods? You know what I mean?
He said cold foods because you're when you chew and when you swallow, that doesn't connect to the lungs. And I mean that this is a respiratory disease. You're blocking that out. So he said like
wait, it does.
Yeah, right through your mouth. Lungs. Get it through your mouth.
Yeah, it connects right there because you're going through your trachea, and that's it's in your bloodstream. They separate your blood from your oxygen, so I feel like it's all related. I mean, I don't think it's possible to get it through food unless they're cooking like dirty with their hands and they're sneezing. But every cook or every place that I've gone to now to get takeout, they have a mask and gloves, and I see these people constantly changing their gloves.
That's what I'm saying. So he said that like, don't worry about the food itself. Like, take the food out of the container or
put it in the microwave
on it. Like, yeah, take the food out of the container onto a plate, and you should be good.
Yeah, I mean, but you really should be cooking home because you get to see it, and you're saving money. Like takeout it's a lot nowadays.
Yeah, tell me about it. We've been cooking at home for the past 2 weeks.
I can't make pizza, so.
Well, pizza, I do agree. I do buy that, but you can make it at home.
Hold on a minute. You can make pizza at home, and you can even go to the pizzeria. Some of them are selling a kit that you pay like $10.
Yeah, they do that. I'm not trying to do all that.
And you can hit them with the Salt Bae, but with the cheese.
You did. You could. I made my own pizza. I bought these thin crusts, put it in the oven. That shit comes out bomber because you get to put as much cheese as you want, and you could make it as crispy as you want.
Yeah,
and you take it out and it's hot in the oven instead of waiting for the delivery guy to come through or for you to pick up.
Yeah, that's a whole process of delivery person shit.
Same amount of time.
No. I mean, I've been cooking like crazy too, and I do not like cooking, but it's been saving me money because I'm one of those people that I don't like to cook, so I'd rather go out to eat. On the weekends, even for breakfast, I rather go out to eat. So it's definitely saving me a lot of money.
No more sitting in Top's Diner. Next time you do, it's going to be like 12.
Top's Diner.
I know.
Oh my God.
It's going to be, I hope they're right. For an app.
Right, but if you guys ever go to BJ's and you see this griddle that's on sale, they have like a clipless coupon, get it. That is like the best thing ever. This morning, I made my pancakes, my turkey sausage, and my sunny side up eggs there. Best thing ever.
Yeah, sunny side up and everything. Every day that moves forward, we'll figure out a little bit of technology.
Maybe I can go over at Edgar's house and be in his other room quarantine.
As soon as she comes by, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah,
Like,
you
look,
gotta put on that bunny suit.
nah,
that PPE.
Nah, I'm calling the cops.
That's the only way we could go live.
Yeah, I'm calling the cops. Fuck that. That's not happening. I'm calling the cops. I'm calling the cops. I got the Lysol ready. I'll fucking get the Ruger ready. We're ready to roll, baby. Fuck that. So listen, anybody. My mom, honey. Mom's like, yeah, I'm gonna drop the girls off some basket. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna leave it on the porch. She's like, for real? I'm like, yeah, for real. Fuck that. We out of here, man. Be safe. Stay
Peace out. Thanks for
and
having
use
me.
Lysol. Peace out, guys. Thank you.
Stay safe. Bye.